Well, the rain falls on her own, rain falls on her own, tattered, scattered on her own. Been so long since you've been gone, been so long since the sun has shone. Yeah, it's been so long here down this road. I went down to the county line, I went down and I got me some wine. I went down to the county line. It's been so long since you've been gone, been so long since the sun has shone. Yeah, it's been so long here down this road. Daddy's been good to me, wanted me to live in harmony. That ain't the highway kind. And these days here, drinking wine, they left me kinda shaky and a little bit blind. Tell me what you gonna do. Take me back down to see that girl now. Take me back down to see that girl now. Take me back and give me a little bit more. No, 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 no. Oh, these days of being the highway kind, days of loving and they are mine. Yeah, these days they are the highway kind. Daddy's been good to me, wanted me to live in harmony. That ain't a highway kind. And these days here, drinking wine, they left me kinda shaky and a little bit blind. Tell me what you gonna do. Well, I went down to the county line, I went down and I got me some wine. I went down to the county line. House bell, something smells. House bell, something smells. Oh my God, I think I smell a rat. Well, the rain falls on her, rain falls on her, tattered, scattered in on her. Hey Will, how's it going? Thanks for sending these questions over, mate. It's good to hear from you always, and good to share some of my experience with you, what's been going on for me these last couple of months. You asked me how I'm coping with the lockdown. Well, as a musician, I've been keeping really busy. I've released, 2 different albums, both of pre-recorded stuff. One original electronic thing, which was early on, and then I did a live release, an album that I was all mixed up and everything, and then just in the can, if you like. So I put that out recently. I've done loads of gigs, some live streams, although not that many, because I feel that they're a bit oversaturated nowadays. Actually, live gigs. I think I was quite early off the mark with them. Got involved with the lockdown festival, like the first week of the lockdown, the first weekend of the lockdown. I did some stuff, and nowadays what I've been doing is more like private gigs. So where I'm selling tickets, and then we're meeting on an online meetings app, and then I'm sort of, if everybody that buys a ticket gets a free album. So that's been working out quite well. As a person, it was been a bit weird. Yeah, I've had some ups and downs. Things are okay now, but certainly the first 2 or 3 weeks of it, there was a lot of uncertainty. I mean, I'm still got a lot of financial uncertainty, because obviously I lost thousands and thousands of pounds worth of work this spring and summer. But in terms of, you know, kind of as an individual, I'm pretty balanced. I'm pretty good at seeing the positives anyway, seeing the kind of, you know, the good in things, if you like. So I've been focusing on how to make the most of the time rather than worrying about all the things I can't do. Somebody asked me really early on, they said, you know, this lockdown it's a defining moment in our generation. You know, there's no denying that there's never, probably unlikely for there to be anything as significant as this go on again in our lifetimes. And how do you want to remember it? So when your grandkids ask you, what did you do in the lockdown, Grandad? I didn't want to say I ate cakes and was lazy, or I was sad, or I was anxious or worried. What I want to say and what I've been trying to do is I grew as a person, I grew as a musician, so I grew as an artist. I released new albums, I collaborated with musicians, I found new ways to engage with people. And that's very much what I've been doing, you know, in mostly in this studio, mostly in this room, but I've done gigs in Russia, I've done gigs in Scotland, I've done stuff in Spain, I've engaged with new fans in Brazil and Sydney, and, you know, all kinds of stuff. So it's really, you know, there's always two ways to look at things. So I am question 2. I mean, I guess I'm already been answering a bit of that. Yeah, I've got this good little setup down here, and I've been improving it and working it and integrating it into my kind of live shows and whatever. So it's absolute godsend, you know. Although having said that, the first live stream I did and some of the more kind of effective stuff that I've done has been just the phone, because the phone's has a good camera, has a good microphone, it's instant. You know, I'll put a video up at the weekend. I was sitting in the garden with my shorts on, you know, and I sang a couple of songs, and they went out, and people from all over the world were coming back with it, you know. But what I've also been trying to do here is create professional videos with professional quality sound, so that I can, you know, kind of develop in that front as well. So, and it's a brilliant place to kind of come to work. My commute is about 20 steps long. I come out the back garden, I come down the path, I come in here with my cup of coffee, and I sit down and I work, and it gives me a good headspace, so that when I go back up in the house, I can be, you know, the husband, the father, the dog owner, whatever. So, question 3. I see I've been very busy during the lockdown, including some live streams. How am I enjoying these? Well, the first live stream I did was early into this business. It was, you know, I was sitting down here, and I had my guitar, acoustic guitar, and I was sitting in my sweatpants, scruffy looking, and I was sort of playing a bit of guitar. I had my phone in my hand, checking Facebook, and playing the guitar, and I thought, do you know what? And I just pressed record, and I just propped it up. Here you can see here. This is what it looks like for me. This is what we're doing here. So I propped it up here and just started playing. Then I played for about half an hour, 40 minutes, and there was hundreds of people joined in. Hundreds of people came and watched. So from that, that really kind of showed me that it was possible to continue to reach an audience, you know. So in that respect, I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity. I've seen it get, as I mentioned, really oversaturated now, with everybody and their uncle doing live streams. You know, a lot of people, and fair play to them, you know, that's absolutely fine by me. But I'm a musician and I earn my money from making music, so I need to find a way of continuing to get audiences to kind of, you know, to help me further my living, and I'm not much one for putting the PayPal link up and asking for tips. I find that's a bit like busking, and again, each to their own, and if you're into that, then who am I to complain about it? But for me, I like to give you some value. So, you know, if you come to my gig, you've bought the ticket, you get the show, you might come and buy a CD. If you come to my online gigs now, you buy a ticket, you come to the show, and I'll give you an album of that show as part of the deal. You know, that's how it's been working for me, and that's only possible because I've got this gear here, so I can do you a proper album and deliver it, you know, and it's as good quality as anything you can buy. Question 4. So I have written some new stuff, not loads. I've got a single coming out at the end of this month called Places, and I wrote that dead quick. That was it's kind of a response to the lockdown, but it's not a isn't it awful to be in isolation kind of a song like I've heard some of them, or it was, the idea is that it was a call to everybody to try and connect, and I think that's, for me, that's really important, to connect to people, kind of get to where they are, relate to them in their spaces, and that's what the song's about really. Talk to me about your places, explain your situations, how does it feel, and musing on how things are never going to be the same, and how that's not necessarily a bad thing, because there's a lot of stuff that could do with a shake up, and this is, we wouldn't have chose it, but we're in it now, so what are you going to do? So I did that here, recorded it all here in the studio. I've got organs and speakers and a drum machine and this, that and the other, so I did it all here, and then I sent it to a friend of mine who played some drums on it and mixed it, and then we sent it out, and that's going to be my next single, so that's cool. But otherwise I haven't written a lot of stuff, but I've been finishing off my next record and making video content for that, and collaborating with other people as well. I've been doing some stuff with various artists. I did something with Joe Fisk and a lot of other guys that they did, and lots of video stuff. Been getting to grips with the video editing. If you want my loving, if you really do, don't be afraid, just ask me. No, I want to give it to you. Oh, what you want, you know that you got it. I deny myself before I think to see you without. I love you, girl. Ain't no doubt about it, baby, I love you. I say I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, baby, I do. If you feel you might wanna kiss me, and I don't mind. All you gotta do is snap your finger. I'll come running, I ain't gonna lie. Oh, what you want, you know you got it. I deny myself before I think to see you without. I love you, girl. I love you. Say I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, baby, I do. Someday you might wanna run away, leave me sitting here to cry. If it's all the same to you, honey, now I'm gonna stop you from saying goodbye, 'cause baby, I love you. wanna sing to you, honey, now. I wanna stop you from saying goodbye, 'cause baby, I love you. And ain't no doubt about it, baby, I love you. I say I love you, I love you, I love you, I love. I say I love you, I love you, I love you, I do. I say I love you, I love you, I love you, baby, I do. Question 5. You released your last album just over a year ago. How's it been received? Well, it was good. I mean, it's interesting how the things worked out time-wise with that, because I put it out and I had the PR campaign going up to it. And then because of the way that things were going with RHR at the time, I think it was Jack's schedule particularly that was tricky to match up with. So what had originally been the idea to do a run of shows in February with RHR, they got moved to May. So the RHR stuff, it kind of bumped up against the release of the Clovis Limit, even though they're a bit of a different audience. So I did a bit of preview and then a bit of a launch tour for that, and then the next week I think it felt like we were out with RHR, and then we made the Hotel Toledo album in the middle of it, and then sort of did all that, and then I went back out with my band, because last year was a crazy busy year for me. But I went all over with it and we toured it, you know. And then the idea was, it was all the stuff that's been cancelled for this spring was like another go at touring the Clovis Limit. I had a vinyl run done, which is, you know, languishing really, because I was expecting to sell hundreds of those out on the road, and t-shirts too, but they haven't sold as many as I would have had I been out playing shows. But in terms of how it was received by the audience, I think it was good. You know, it's an Americana record. It's a country record, really. It was recorded in Nashville. It features lots of pedal steel and lots of violin, which was a departure for me in terms of my recorded output, but it's very much a part of what I listen to and who I am as a musician. So that was cool. I love it, you know. I'm really proud of it. I think it's the best bunch of songs I've ever put out on a record, and the production and the performances are you know, they're really stellar. Not me, but you know, the guys I had play on it. So in terms of how it was received by the people, it's, yeah, they love it. You know, I think it confused some people because they're used to seeing me with a psychedelic kind of, you know, especially with RHR, big, thick, you know, muscly guitar sounds and things like that. And then I put this record, and I think this might maybe 1-2 guitar solos on it. One of them, there's only one electric guitar solo on it, maybe 2, but then, you know, they're clean. They're it's not psychedelic rock, put it like that. And I guess that leads me into your next question. Because there will be indeed another album coming out this October, probably. It is the Clovis Limit Part 2. It is the balance of the songs that I recorded. So 2 years ago, I went to Nashville, recorded an album, came home, went on tour with my band, came back to Brighton, and then over 4 days I recorded about another 22, 25 songs. And out of that, there came the RHR Mahogany Drift album. A couple of tracks went on to the Clovis Limit Part 1, but the other 12 or 11 maybe were the Clovis Limit Part 2. So I wrote all them songs at the same time. I wrote Mahogany, the songs, so Ghost Hound Rider, She Painted the Moon and Leviathan were all in the same kind of pot of songs as everything that is on the Clovis Limit Part 1 and the Clovis Limit Part 2. So, but the stuff that's on the Clovis Limit Part 2 is much more like the songs that I submitted for the RHR album, particularly Ghost Hound Rider and She Painted the Moon. So if you know those songs, they are rock songs, riffy southern 70s rock songs, really. And so my next album will be all of that. And one of the best things from kind of observing the way that Mahogany Drift was received is that I realised that I could play that kind of material to people and there was an audience for it, because previous to that I just didn't think I could get away with it. I didn't think people got Southern rock, and I'm 100% Southern rock. You cut me through the middle, it says Southern rock. Like like Blackpool rock. Maybe Northern rock. But anyway, yes, it's coming out. It's mixed, it's mastered. I recorded it. The backing tracks, most of the top lines I did last summer, but I've still been working at it, kind of going through really. Yeah, so it's not different. It's a kind of a culmination of things. There are still big choruses. There are still some bits which sound a bit more Americana-y, but generally speaking, it's a thick, fat Southern rock record.
What you heard this morning, yeah, was a wicked lie. The difference of opinion is often hard to rhyme still. If you take it slowly, try to consider the facts, then think you find that you owe me. What do you think about that? Ooh, spinning a moon with images I half remembered. Well, her face was long and slender, but she kicked like a corn in you. You like to give me some trouble, yeah, you like to run and hide, but when I'm torn and bleeding, you left and step outside. Guess I'm feeling lazy, or maybe growing tired, but I'm out of metered patience. It's like a melted wire. Who's hanging up the lady in the gutter? Well, its skin was tarred and feathered, and I washed and I scrubbed it clean. Ooh, this galaxy's too a universe of trouble. Her eyes were like her mother, but she stretched like an alley cat. When you answer my question, it's never quite the same. You got trouble half remembered, in case of hanging blame. There's a mess with bad connection. She can't be fixed, I'll say. You never could be trusted unless you're feeling brave. She painted the moon with a shining white corona, but nobody ever could own her. But there's a many a poor boy tried. Ooh, dark in the moon, half of the star is tender. She never once surrender. Tell me, what do you think about that? Dream like you had a bad dream, to live in ragged splendor, or to ride in your defender. It's all I ever wanted to be. Ooh, step up, Your face was long and slender, but you kick like a cornered mule. Hey!
The live stream for the British invasion in Russia, well, that is, I mean, I've done one in Russia already, but I'm doing the British invasion one on Friday. I've got quite a few fans in Moscow and around that area because I've been out there playing a few times. And I was supposed to be, maybe last week, I was supposed to be in Russia doing another run of shows, but they got cancelled, obviously, because nobody can leave the country or go into Russia. So I contacted the Russian promoter, the guy that sorts it all out there, Boris, and we organised a one-off concert so that I could still get a chance to play for the people that would have been coming to see me last week. So that's cool. It's a live stream. Yes, it's a ticket sales one again through an app called Zoom, and I'll be doing the thing that I normally do, which is providing anybody that buys a ticket with an album, a live album of the show. But what's good about that is that you don't have to be in Russia. So yeah, you can be in Russia. I sold a ticket to a guy from Sydney in Australia, and he's coming, you know, and there are 2 people from the Czech Republic coming, and there are 1 or 2 American people. So, you know, this being lockdown thing, if you kind of view it from the outside looking in, it's an opportunity to connect with people all over the world.
Well, there ain't nothing so fragile as a young man, full of fire as his youth demand. Right or wrong, he burns so bright, till at last he is set alight. There ain't nothing so fragile as a young man. There ain't nothing so fragile like a young man. Well, there ain't nothing so strange as a righteous man. Saw with vigor and stained by and by. He's been twisted by veracity, and it's insulting in its bigotry. There ain't nothing so strange as a righteous man. There ain't nothing so fragile like a young man. Well, ain't nothing so bitter as a spun man, touched by a woman with her own plans. And his mother never did try and teach him how to tear that affection from a lady's brow. There ain't nothing so bitter as a spun man. There ain't nothing so fragile like a young man. And a man who never was much want for spirits or company. That kind of man don't talk too much, nor ask for any kind of sympathy. That kind of ride up on his horse and build a slow retreat. The kind of man he fascinates, 'cause he's not a bit like me. nothing so painful as an old man tied to the frame that time commands. He's been strapped to the age that time allows. Isn't just something, his head is brown. There ain't nothing so painful as an old man. There ain't nothing so fragile like a young man. Well, ain't nothing so final like a dead man. Time to dust and they laid him down. All his songs are sung and his prayers are said, but there weren't enough to keep him from his grave. And there ain't nothing so final as a dead man. Ain't nothing so fragile like a young man. There ain't nothing so final as a dead man. Ain't nothing so fragile like a young man. Ain't nothing so fragile as a young man. Ain't nothing so fragile like a young man.
Apart from a successful solo career, you've done quite a few collaborations as part of a band for one song. Yeah, I mean, I touched on that earlier on. I haven't done loads of collaborations, but I've done some. I did this one with Joel Fisk, and he had Ian Siegel in it, and a whole bunch of other people to Warren Zevon song, and they've gone on to do an album, I think, with some of that band. And it's cool, it's nice. It's nice to connect with other people. Troy and I talked about doing something together, but he got bogged down in his own album, which is out now, I think. Islands, is it called Islands? So he put that out. We were talking about collaborating. I did speak to Jack, but he didn't get back to me. And I spoke to a couple of Els Bailey, somebody else I've been collaborating with in this time. But really, I've been mostly focusing on how to deliver a good live show using this technology, and how to kind of build my back catalogue and my future catalogue up as well. Having a studio set up, yeah, it does give me insight. Yeah, I mean, it's not just recent, it's always something I've enjoyed, is understanding how you get an album to sound the way that it does, right? So if we look around my studio, I've got boxes, you can see them behind me, boxes and boxes of pedals, and I've got boxes of microphones, and there's outboard gear here, and so I've got like a wide palette that I can use to deliver good quality guitar sounds and vocal sounds and percussion sounds and this, that and the other. The only thing I don't do in here is drums, because it's not big enough. So I do drums in a bigger room and then bring those files into here to work with. But production wise, yeah, I listen to a lot of modern music and a lot of modern bands and production techniques, and it just leaves me cold. It's brittle, it's sterile, everybody sounds the same, there's no excitement, there's no kind of, they've engineered out all the energy. So I try and keep it a little bit chaotic, like a little bit under rehearsed, or a little bit under, kind of under polished. So there's a rawness there. I don't like to, if I'm singing in the studio, I don't like to spend a long time doing the vocals. I like to get them done, maybe do 3 takes, and then just maybe make a take up out of that, or just do 1 take, listen back to it, and then just drop the odd word in or something. But really, ideally, so the Clovis Limit Part 1, the vocals on there, I think all apart from maybe 3 songs, were the guide vocals that I was singing along with the acoustic guitar when I was recording them in Nashville. I just kept them, and they're a little bit pitchy, and 1 or 2 words are maybe a little bit, but overall I think it just worked so well with the vibe of the album that I'm all about the vibe, really. So fat, warm, thick sounds, not too bright, not too thin, not too scratchy. So yeah, I enjoy music production. I don't understand it as well as, you know, as well as I could, but I know what I like, and I just do what I like. That's the joys of being a DIY artist. Nobody can tell me what to do. Yeah. So I've had the pleasure to see a small selection of some of your vintage gear. Is there a noticeable difference between the vintage gear and the more modern equivalents in the quality, etc., and which do I prefer? Well, again, you know, in reference to what I've just said, so I'm not an exclusive user of vintage gear. I don't have, you know, not everything I have is a classic guitar or amplifier of the 1950s and 60s, but a lot of them are. You can see in this, you know, in this shot here. You know, if I go to this camera here, behind you there's that Gretsch guitars from Gretsch amplifiers from 1962, a Marshall cabs from the 80s. If I move my head a little bit, there's a 1950s Fender amp there. You know, there's an old Leslie speaker here from the early 60s. But the stuff that I take out on the road tends to be modern stuff, but modern stuff that's got a vintage voice, modern stuff that's got a vintage sound. Again, you know, like modern Marshall amps, they tend to sound like they don't really sing, they kind of grunt, and that's cool if you're into that, but I'm not. I like something that sings, and I like thick, rich sounds, as I've said earlier. So you know, I'm not a snob about gear. I'll use whatever sounds the way that I like, you know, and I'm lucky to have. I got an early start in vintage gear. I had an old guitar early on, thanks to the dad of the drummer in my first band and remains quite a famous vintage guitar collector and repairman. So he turned me on to the good stuff early, and it's all I've got. You know, I don't have a pension. I don't have insurance policies. What I have is gear, and so that's, you know, that's how I justify it. You know, I've got a 60s Telecaster that's worth good money, and I get the joy out of it, and I play it, and I take it out and I do shows with it. But it's you know, at some point down the line that I'll cash in, and you know, when I can no longer work, I suppose that's my plan.
Don't ask me for favors, stop acting outrageous. Can't you just even try? You wanna be here, but is your future so clear? And time to be asking you why. I don't want you to leave me behind. Just these colors, they all make a look blind. The wheels, they are turning, the road is calling, and the wind is getting real high. I don't want you to leave me behind. Just these colors, they all making me blind. I said, don't point, don't stare, lucky, help us get there. This one goes how right as light. Come on, feel your hand on me as we taking a journey. And there's a big gray bus is going wild. Don't point, don't stare, lucky, help us get there. This one goes how right as a light. He's a real good liar. This one goes how rider. He's a taking us to nowhere. I don't want you to leave me behind. Just these colors, they are making me blind. And I said, don't point, don't stare, lucky, help us get there. Gibson ghost hound riders alive. He's a real survivor. This is a ghost hound rider. He's a taking us to nowhere. Don't point, don't stare like it help us get there. He's a ghost hound rider's alive. He's an early acquirer. This is a ghost hound rider. He's a taking us to nowhere.
But there is a difference, you know, the really good old stuff, you know, what's old? Let's have a look. Well, this. So this is a 1988 Gibson guitar. It's a Gibson 335. It's a conversion from a left-hander. I don't know if you can see the dots there. And you see those dots across the light? Yeah. So it was a right-handed guitar originally, and then somebody before me converted it to left-hand. So what is it now? That's 32 years old. And I mean, it's great. You want to hear it. I just like to give it a cuddle when I'm talking. Makes me feel safe. and you know, I've had it nearly 20 years, and I put different pickups in it because the pickups from that era are a bit hit and miss, and I put a Bigsby on there. But is it better than a new 335? No. I mean, I worked in Gibson. I worked in retail for selling guitars for nearly 20 years for GAC and for Guitar, and I've seen some incredible new guitars. There's some absolutely amazing ones. I've seen some really crap ones as well, but generally American-made stuff is really good, and it tends to mature nicely as well. So it plays in, it settles down, it opens up. It's good. But it just depends on the gear that you buy. If you buy average sounding gear for average sounding guitar players, then you'll sound average, right? You know, if you but what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is that if you can find a bit of gear that can allow you to sound the way that you want to sound, rather than something that you stamp on in order to sound exactly like Zakk Wylde or exactly like Steve Vai, I don't know, whoever, then that why do that? You know, try and find something that allows you to express who you are, referencing good sounds. Then I think that's the good balance. I have, like, yeah, question 12. I have an abundance of instruments, and as I've already said with this one, some of them are indeed conversions from right-handers. I don't have anything down here apart from this one and a couple of acoustics that was right-handed at some point. The acoustics are easier. You still have to modify the bridge, but obviously they're symmetrical. However, the bracing is upside down. So I have this guitar here, which is a mid-1990s Gibson. Gibson Gospel. This was a right-handed guitar originally. I bought it in Nashville, and then if you can see, no, you can't see, but you have to, if you want to do it, convert it to a lefty, you have to switch this piece round here. So I had that done, so it was filled in and recut, and what that means is, because the bracing on these is it's not symmetrically braced. They're braced in such a way as to allow the trebles to ring out more, and the bass end to ring out more and the trebles to ring out less. So when you reverse it, it kind of cockeyes the sound of the guitar a little bit, but it sounds cool. But it definitely sounds brighter than it would do had it been built left-handed. This guitar is a Martin D18. And that's a factory lefty, so the bracing on that one is correct. The bracing on that one allows it to be a bassier, thicker sounding guitar with a more controlled treble. So in terms of guitars that I use out live, everything I think now is left-handed, apart from one Strat. I've got a black and white Strat that I restrung upside down. I've always got on better with Strats that were upside down. I don't know what it is. Something about holding a proper left-handed Strat freaks me out a little bit. But when they're upside down, the way the volume control works and under my hand and the way the tremolo is and things like that works out for me. 13. I cover many different genres in my music, from blues to rock, Americana to country, pretty much everything in between. Do I have a favourite? No, just as long as it's authentic. So, you know, my music, I want it to be authentic. So, by which I don't mean to say that if it's a country song, I need to be wearing a Stetson and singing about, you know, cowboys or whatever it might be. I don't know. And I mix it all up. I mean, I've been doing it for so long that I couldn't even disseminate between them anyway. You know, my music is just the sum total of everything that I am. I can't really sit down and write a rock song or a country song or a blues song or a folk song or whatever. I just write songs, and then really it's how I think a good song can be, depending on how you approach it from the instrument, so the arrangement, depending on the sounds that you use and whatever, you can take it from one side to another. My song Leviathan, which I'll play for you, I very nearly did a whole album, and I may still do an album called maybe like the Leviathan Variations. That song could be, it's like a Booker White song as it is, I think. You know, it's a 1930s blues song. I could bring it into the 40s and do a swing version. I can bring it into the 50s and do a rock and roll version. I can bring it into the 60s and do a soul version, and then like a British invasion version, and then a you know, California sort of Monkeys version, and I could do a 70s version that sounds like Humble Pie. You could a great song can be instrument. I mean, I heard something on the radio, didn't particularly like it the other day, but it was this Foo Fighters song, I'm not a Foo Fighters fan, but I recognise the song, but the arrangement of this pop arrangement, I think it's a charity single, was entirely appropriate. You wouldn't have known it was a repurposed kind of riff rock song, you know, and I think that's the mark of a good song. So, you know, I don't have a favourite. I really like the Allman Brothers. You know, I really like the Allman Brothers. I really like Funkadelic, Parliament, P-Funk stuff. I'm a huge Paul Simon fan. I couldn't live without a daily dose of AC/DC and you know, Free, the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, the Who. You know, they're all in there, and all of those artists have gone across the genre range that I go across. You know, from Delta blues to 70s rock, I suppose, if you want to, you know, singer-songwriter, country, you know, you name it. So I don't have a favourite, as long as it's authentic. And if I look at an artist or I listen to an artist, and a good example for me would be Bruce Springsteen, and I just don't believe him. You know, I don't believe it, and I'm entirely prepared to be wrong with that. But just for me, if it's an artist who's telling a story, or you know, how he looks and how he sounds and how he sings and how I know him to be as a person, if they don't kind of marry up, then I struggle with it, you know. So my music works for people that want an authentic sound delivered in a congruent way, in a genuine way. You know, you won't see me hamming it up with crazy stage costumes or you know, swigging Jack Daniels out of a bottle or whatever. You know, those things are fine, by the way. It's not a judgment on anybody, but for me, all the work in my life has been how to deliver a congruent version of me to an audience, because I want you to understand me, and if I'm putting on an act, then how can you understand me?
'cause it's the drifting wants to make me weep. It's the tremors in the morning and the night so I can't sleep. All the pointless pleasantries, they aren't worth a breath of wind when you have sinned. There's a reason this railroad runs on time, and it's not 'cause you're the driving wheel and not because it's mine. I've ever been the reason, and no matter what the cause, still feel lost. There's a reason this railroad isn't that different, isn't it first? There's no use procrastinating, man, it only seems to make it worse. It wasn't for favor, no, and it wasn't for a bet. Didn't find it yet. 'Cause there's a reason this railroad runs on time. The direction keeps on changing when y'all skimming across the line. However grand the reasoning, no matter what the cost, still feel lost. So don't give me no signal. Stop changing the sign. Don't give me no signal. This isn't that different, just the same. The desire to give you comfort always ends up in the blame. And living with that blessing only seems to make it worse. It's like a curse. There's a reason this railroad runs on time, and it's fueled in perpetuity on reason and on rhyme. It isn't bought by politics with nickels or with dimes, at least not mine. 'Cause there's a reason this railroad, there's a reason this railroad runs on time.
If someone to ask you to describe the micro sound, what would you tell them? I've just told you. It would be something authentic. It would be something based on the history of music, and that could be anything from Delta Blues to Humble Pie to the Allman Brothers to the Rolling Stones. I want to write genuine songs that are truthful and that encourage connection. I want to write songs with stories that people can identify with. I want to play guitar in a way which supports that. You know, I love playing the guitar, but I'm not... If you go and see Troy play or you go and see Jack, obviously I picked those two guys as examples, you get like fast melodic solos that, you know, they really go and go and go and go and go. Well, how I do things a bit differently. You know, I feel like I'm more like painting texturally. I could easily kind of, you know, brighten up my guitar sound and play these extended solos that were fast and notey and this, that and the other, but it doesn't sit with me. You know, I like to sit back in them. I like to be kind of thicker and you know, kind of more riff based and more textural than kind of sticking out right in front. And that's no disrespect to my two of my best friends, Troy and Jack, by the way. They're, you know, Troy's a very different player to Jack. Jack's a very different player to me. That's why I thought we worked really well together, because what you get is a broad section of that. I could not stand school. I could not wait to get out of school. I left school at 16 and a bit, and I never thought I'd go back. And I didn't know why I did. No, I'm a qualified therapist. I'm a therapeutic counsellor. I started studying again in 2016 for 20 years or so, you know, I worked in shops, really. You know, they were cool shops, they were guitar shops. I went all over the world, going to guitar manufacturers and things like that. But you know, as I was approaching my 40th birthday, I thought, well, do I really want to just be selling the same old stuff to people for the rest of my life? You know, I wanted a different career. So I came out of that, and I was full-time musician. So I wasn't. I kind of that was a gradual shift, and there was always a bit of music involved. But when I became a full-time musician, all the time I was doing that, I've been studying to be a therapist. Well, I'm studied now, and I'm practicing as a therapist. And then I got the opportunity to go and do a master's degree at a college in Brighton, Waterbury, and it's a music industry-based qualification. And the reason that I did it is that Bruce Dickinson, who is the founder of the college, who's a friend of mine, he said, you're already doing all of the things that you need to do to make this qualification. You know, you're an innovative DIY artist. You're using existing and new techniques to kind of to streamline your model in order to build your career and build engagement with others and make a living. And so what I've been doing, particularly over this period in the lockdown, is I've been using my experience here and how I've been working my career as an artist with just writing that up and submitting it for my exams. So who would have thought? I would have never thought I'd get a degree, never mind a master's degree. I mean, you know, like that's the whole thing with a cap and a gown. Who would have thought? Right, let's have a look. If I were a superhero, what superpower would I have? Well, either time travel. I would quite like time travel, but yeah, let's go with time travel. I would time travel. I'd like to go and watch Jimi Hendrix play in Monterey. I'd stand at the back and I would interfere with the timeline. I'd love to go and watch the Allmans play at the Fillmore. So that would be my use of my superhero powers. Gibson or Fender or another make? Oh, Gibson. I've got some really nice Fenders, but Gibson. Car or motorcycle? Car. Motorcycles. I can't see out of this eye. This eye here. I had an injury when I was a kid, and so I can't really see out of it very well. So I'm terrible on two wheels. So definitely I'm terrible on four wheels, to be fair. So give me a car. Give me a safe car that's not too fast, because I tend to get distracted and crash. Hat or no hat? Oh, well, I'm kind of on the fence. You know, I've got some really nice hats, but I also like not wearing a hat. But given a choice, hat. Let's have a hat. Yeah, particularly if you're playing on stage with RHR. So what is the first thing I will be doing once the lockdown and restrictions are lifted? Is get back on the road playing music. Take it easy. Came to me in the morning, hit me like I'm tumbling. And I shout and I scream, is this impossible dream? Turning all my blue eyes to red.
took all my reason. I'm bleeding from my thorny crown. But you never confess. There's the voice in my head, and it's tainted every waking hour. Salute to the humble Leviathan. I am naked to the waking dawn. As I rise from my bed, I will take solace instead, and I'll be whistling my favorite song. Take aim on you dark-hearted bastard, sitting in your ivory tower. But I hope that someday you'll be crushed and dismayed by all the beauty that this truth